Good evening, everyone. It's a very special situation when you have a parsha named after you in the Torah. But you'd kind of hope it was for a positive thing. Korach having a whole parsha after him is not so ideal. You know, the first time you go through it, you're kind of like, oh, I wonder how this is going to end. The first time you see Korach's name, it's like watching a train wreck going to happen. And you're like, didn't this guy bother reading this last year? Like, isn't he going to know that this isn't going to end so well? It doesn't work that way. But we see the incident of Korach and his band of merry or not so merry men getting sucked into the ground as a result of their rebellion against Moshe, Aaron, and their appointments by God to be involved with the Jewish people. In essence, what is Korach's problem? Korach wanted more. He wasn't happy with his station in life. He wasn't happy with being a wealthy person. He wasn't happy being a wise person. He wanted power. He wanted accomplishment. He wanted to be, quote-unquote, doing something. He wanted more. And we see it didn't work so well for him. God does not respond positively to his demands, to Korach accusing Moshe of usurping the power for him and his family, when in fact, Moshe was just acting on God's command to make the appointment of Aaron being the head Kohen, the Kohen Gadol, and for those people being appointed to run their aspects of the family. Korach was unhappy. He wanted more. But what was he supposed to have done? What was he supposed to have done? If someone's not happy with something, you let people know about it. Well, God shows us through Korach and through many other people, that's not how it works in Judaism. When you have a problem with something, you're not happy with something, we don't apply the phrase, don't get mad, get even. We have another approach. What Korach should have done is he should have turned to Hashem, he should have turned to the Almighty and said, God, I can do so much more for the Jewish people. I'm not actualizing my potential. I can lead. Give me something. Give me a group. Help me inspire people. Help me lead people to greater heights. But that's not what Korach said. Korach, we don't see, has any engagement with God throughout this process. And ironically enough, when Hashem says to Korach and to those who are with him to get fire pans of incense and to offer a service, it almost seems like that's the first time Korach was actually engaging God in this process. And we know how well that went. Getting burned by balls of fire is not something that you want to do outside of Hollywood. And in Hollywood, you don't want to be the guy getting burned. But does it really work in the Torah to do what we just suggested, to reach out to God when you're not happy with something? Isn't it just like a God-given decree and that's it? No, it works. Here are two examples. One, Dasan and Aviram did not end so well because they were with Korach. But Nadav and Avihu, Aaron's two sons who perished in fire, had to be taken out of the tabernacle. They had to be taken out of the Mishkan. So some of his non-Kohanic relatives go in, they bring out Nadav and Avihu, and they bury them. As a result, they become ritually impure. They become, at what we say in Judaism, the level of Tamei Mace. They have the ritual level of impurity of being in contact with a dead body. And therefore, they couldn't offer the Paschal lamb that year. They couldn't offer the Karban Pesach. So what do? Here's what they don't do. They don't go ranting and railing and saying this is a conspiracy. Moses and Aaron were just trying to mess us over and prevent us from doing this service. Rah, 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 let's form a picket line outside the tabernacle. If we can't do it, no one can do it. That's not what they said. They go to Moshe, they go to Hashem, they say, Lama nigara, why should we be worse off than anybody else? We want the opportunity to do a mitzvah. We want the opportunity to do this service. And what happens? As a result of their sincerity, as a result of them saying, we want to make this work, why should we be worse off? We want to be able to serve God to the best of our abilities. Hashem puts into the Torah the idea of Pesach Sheni, being able to offer the Paschal lamb a month late, in the middle of Iyar, instead of the Jewish month of Nisan. Here's another example. The daughters of Tzlavchad, after they hear the procedure for the allocation of land based on the paternal side and based on the amount of sons a family had, they go to Moshe and they say, in essence, Lama nigara, why should we be worse off? Our father died in the Midbar. He died in the desert. Not because of the sin of the spies. He died for some other reason. The rabbis dispute as to what was the cause of his death. But he wasn't with that crowd. So why should his name be wiped off the face of our tribe? Why should there not be an ancestral holding for his family? For this is Tzlavchadville, or the county of Tzlavchad, or it's ironic in Missouri we call something a city when it has less than 10,000 people. In New Jersey, where I'm from, you don't get called a city unless you have 50,000 and high property taxes. But anyway, otherwise you're just a town or like a borough or something. But anyway, they want to have their father remembered. They want to have a portion in the Holy Land of Israel. So Moshe Rabbeinu takes their complaint to Hashem, and Hashem says they've spoken correctly. Here's the procedure in this type of scenario. Wow! They have a whole section of the Torah about the technicalities that result from their request. And not only that, they got their cake and they ate it too. Because they did have an ancestral part of their tribal land based on their father's holding, what he would have gotten. Had Korach only taken this approach, had Korach only decided, I'm going to talk to God, we're going to find a solution, who knows what would have happened? If you look throughout the Torah, you'll see something interesting. There's no Rosh HaLeviyim. There's no head Levi. There's a head Kohen. There's a Melech, there's a king. Have you noticed that there's no head Levi in a formal sense? Maybe if Korach was looking for solutions instead of looking for machlokas, looking for dispute, who knows? Maybe his approach of God would have resulted in Hashem saying, you know what? We should have a head Levi. And this head Levi, just thinking out loud, this head Levi maybe would have had an integral part of the Yom Kippur procedure. It's all the Kohen Gadol, basically. Maybe Korach could have been the first to start a trend. Maybe he could have started a positive change, a positive movement in Klal Yisrael. But we'll never know, because that's not what he did. If we approach life with a solution focus, instead of looking at the problems, if we look at the cup being half full instead of the cup being half empty, we'll realize that maybe there's something good to drink in this cup. Not only that, maybe we can get free refills on this cup, but we have to finish it first. We have no idea what we're capable of doing and accomplishing in the situation unless we're focused on how do we make this work. And in life, we can't make it work unless we bring God into the equation. So let's bring God in. Hashem, please help me make this successful. Give me hatzlacha, give me success. Because if we try to go at it alone, that's not guaranteed. But if we bring God into the equation, if we bring God into our lives and we try to engage God in helping us make the most of our situations, and if we can't make them better, instead of banging our head into a wall, being frustrated with what's not working, we'll be optimizing our life, we'll be optimizing our experience to make the most out of the gifts that God has given to us. Let's not look for conflict. Let's look for solutions. Have a great week.